Looking forward to talking with you.
You know, you had everybody laughing today when you were at the podium, and I'd love you to say exactly what you said at the time when you said that you thought coaching was overrated.
Well, I said that coaching was overrated because I think players win. Coaches don't win, players win. And when you've got good players, you're going to be a good coach. When you don't have good players, and people are going to think you're not a good coach because you're not going to win football games. But, you know, I kind of alluded to my career with the Saints and the Colts. When I was with the Saints, we had good teams for a long time there, and we had, you know, some really outstanding players on defense. Now, we had some pretty good players on offense, too. Bobby Hebert, Dalton Hilliard, Eric Martin, Stan Brock, Hobie Brenner, people like that. But we were kind of known for our defense and a kicker by the name of Morton Anderson. So everybody thought I was an excellent defensive coach and didn't know anything about offense. So then I go to the Colts, and we have Peyton Manning, Edgerrin James, Marvin Harrison, and people like that on offense, and not very good players on defense. So everybody thought I was an offensive coach and not a defensive coach. So it didn't matter. You know, if you got good players, that's what wins for you. So that's why I think coaching's overrated.
Then add your punchline when you said, "Hey, if I could have what I had."
Yeah, okay. I said that if I could have combined the Saints defensive players when we had our real good defensive teams in '91 and '92 when we led the league in fewest points allowed, and then combine them with Peyton and Edgerrin and Marvin and the people we had with the offense up in Indianapolis, I said that I might have won a playoff game.
And you broke everybody up with that. Coach, when you came here in '86 as the head coach and lasted 10.5 years, how was the game then compared to now from a coaching standpoint?
Well, you know, buddy, you and I talked about this today. The players are different now in this way. They make a lot more money. I alluded to Jim Finks when I came here in '86, and Jim Finks was the president and general manager. We didn't have anybody in our roster making $1 million as salary. And now, you know, backups make millions, and the good players make a lot of millions. So they make a lot more money. The big changes, of course, have been free agency and the salary cap, which have made a big difference in that, you know, back in '86, '87, '80, when you drafted a player and he was a good player, he was with you for his whole career. And nowadays, guys can leave in 4 years. So but as far as actually coaching the guys, I don't think there's a heck of a lot of difference. I don't coach. You know, I didn't coach in Indianapolis when we were doing well any different than I coached in New Orleans when we were doing well or when we were doing not so well. I think, you know, you have a philosophy and you handle players a certain way, and as long as you're fair with them and consistent with them and they know where you stand and where they stand, you know, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference. They want to be coached. They want to be disciplined. They want to be helped to be a better player. So from that standpoint, I don't think there's a lot of difference.
Okay, Coach, I know we got a lot of the interview I did with you today that I'm going to play, so I want to take one call. Somebody wants to congratulate you, and then we'll let you go. From Living Saint. Go ahead, Living Saint, you're on with Jim Mora.
Yeah, Coach Mora, I just wanted to personally thank you for the years you were here. I mean, as a long-suffering Saints fan, before you came and never having a winning season, I mean, you really made this guy's day with the winning years you had here. I know we never got the playoff win, and I know nobody's more disappointed about that than me and you, but I just want to personally thank you for the joy you brought during you were here and bringing our first winning season and first playoff appearance.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I really enjoyed my 10.5 seasons here, the 11 years in New Orleans. Enjoyed everything about being here, the coaching, the city, the people, the friends I made. It was a fabulous experience for me and my family. Thank you.
Jim Mora, thank you very much for taking time with us, and we'll play the rest of the interview as we go along. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, buddy. Bye.
All right, we're going to continue with Sports Talk. More from Jim Mora. Also, Frank Warren, who was the other new inductee, well, actually, the formal induction will be in November, but the announcement was today. Frank Warren and more when Sports Talk continues. As I said at the start of the show, Ricky Williams is still a Saint, although we probably won't be able to say that by the end of the week. Cleveland and Miami remain the two shooters. Cleveland probably in the lead. They have offered their first-round pick this year, which is the 16th or 17th pick in the draft, plus a couple of players, unnamed players, for Williams and the Saints' third-round pick this year. Miami's offered the Saints first and fourth-round picks in the coming draft. Their first-round picks, number 25 in the first round, plus a third pick in 2003, which could improve to a first-round selection based on Williams' performance. In exchange, they want the same thing Cleveland wants, the player, Ricky Williams, and the Saints' third-round pick this year. All right, Jim Mora and Jim Wilkes were the two new members of the Saints Hall of Fame today. We sat down and visited with Mora. A lot's been said about the Saints lacking veteran leadership in the locker room this year, and they've admitted that. And I talked to Coach Mora about veteran leadership in the locker room.
Leadership on a football team from the player's aspect is very important. A coach can't do everything. And when you've got guys like Stan Brock and a lot of guys like Ricky Jackson, and again, that's just to name a couple, but we had a lot of great leaders with the Saints. And when you've got those kind of guys, and they're in the locker room where a lot of things go on, a lot of talk, a lot of discussions, even out of the facility, out about the community when guys are together, having people like Stan, Ricky, people like that help you as a head coach. And if you've got good positive leaders on your team who are good football players also, it can prevent a lot of potential problems. I think that's an important factor for an NFL team. 2 years ago, with the Colts, we had Cornelius Bennett was on our team, a great player for Buffalo, and he was a kind of a defensive leader and a positive force in the locker room. Peyton Manning, even though as a young player, he's an offensive leader and positive force in the locker room, and those kind of things mean a lot to a team.
All right, I also asked Jim Mora, to reflect back about the Morton Anderson thing. That's when it's all started to blow up on Jim Mora in New Orleans, and here was his reply.
In hindsight, that was a bad decision, and I was involved in the decision, and it was we shouldn't have done it. Should not have gotten rid of Morton. There again was a positive influence on the team, other than just his ability as a great kicker, and his involvement with the community, a highly popular player and person in the community here, and. If I had to do it again, there's no way would I vote to get rid of Morton Anderson. It was a bad mistake, and I was part of it.
Reflecting on it, I think you all really thought he was going to lose.
Right. Well, we thought maybe we could. It was early in the days of the salary cap and free agency, and we thought that we could re-sign him, that he wouldn't leave New Orleans, that he had he liked it here and liked the team and all that. And one of the one team that we didn't expect to come to be a player in the deal was Atlanta, because they had I forget their kicker at the time, but they had a real good kicker at the time. So when all of a sudden he says, well, he's going to Atlanta, it was a big shock and a surprise to us.
All right, we'll continue with Sports Talk. 260-1870 dials on WWL 870 AM. Sports Talk with Buddy D. Stay with us.
And police say her son is in jail. 56-year-old Edward Rebenak, Dr. John's cousin, called 911 from their Bissonnette home.
The caller, Mr. Rebenak, claimed he had been drinking and become involved in an argument with his 74-year-old mother.
Sheriff's Colonel John Fortunato says the son admitted jumping on his elderly mother and beating her head against the floor until she died. Member transition team this afternoon.
They're going to be champions of one or two or maybe three areas, depending upon. We're going to sit together as a group and decide that based upon expertise and interest levels.
Megan says his transition board will be dealing with everything from hiring some key positions to planning the inauguration. Some of the notables helping with Megan's move into City Hall include Councilman Jim Singleton, UNO Chancellor Greg O'Brien, and MetroVision President Bill Hines. Well, the ailing U.S. steel industry has gotten a boost from President Bush. He's put temporary tariffs of up to 30% on several types of imported steel. Bush says it'll help American industry play on a level playing field. Congressman David Vitter says the president's decision will drastically hurt the Port of New Orleans, free trade, and jobs in South Louisiana. Critics also say it'll jack up prices on such things as cars and appliances. Fresh troops have been sent in to continue the battle against al-Qaeda and Taliban fighters in the eastern mountains of Afghanistan. Brigadier General John Rosa was asked how things have changed there a day after 7 Americans died in enemy assaults.
I think the biggest thing to change, and not to be flip, is we've killed a lot of people.
Rosa says the enemy in eastern Afghanistan has dug in. The Pentagon says coalition forces found mortars and other weapons inside a cave. I'm Don Ames with WWL First News. More sports talk on the way here on the station of the Saints, LSU, and Buddy D, WWL 870 AM.
Good evening. This is Angela Hill from the Channel 4 newsroom. Coming up at 6 o'clock, his choices are made. Mayor-elect Ray Nagin reveals the staff that will ease him into office. We'll have a closer look at the transition team. Plus, a Chalmette PE teacher turns himself in after 3 students claim he molested them. After your drive, join us for these stories and see why New Orleans may become a new home for spring break. Tonight at 6 o'clock on Channel 4.
For years, you put money into your house. Now get some out. With a home equity loan or line of credit from Hibernia. Whether you want to consolidate debt into one lower monthly payment, make home improvements, or invest in your kids' education, a Hibernia home equity loan or line of credit is the smart way to borrow. The rates are great, the process is easy, and approvals are quick. See what Louisiana's leading lender can do for you. Visit Hibernia.com. Call 1-888-855-BANK. Or simply stop by any Hibernia office. So while you've always put money into your house, time has come to get some money out. Hibernia, where service matters. Hibernia National Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender. Normal credit qualifications apply.
Larry, will you go to my yoga class for me?
Ever notice how your energy starts to fade at 4 p.m.?
And Larry, will you go to girls' night out for me?
How you get really hungry? That's why there's the new Oasis Energy Bar from Balance. Taste meets nutrition in 6 crispy, light, delicious flavors, packed with 22 vitamins and minerals like calcium, folic acid, and iron. Perfect at 4 o'clock.
Lose the leotard, Larry. I'll go to yoga.
All under 200 calories. New Oasis Energy Bar from Balance.
Back to Buddy on WWL 870 AM.
Welcome back to Sports Talk, Buddy D. The Ricky Williams trade won't happen today, won't happen tomorrow, but it probably will happen before the end of the week. And Cleveland and Miami remain the 2 teams most interested, but I think it's going to happen. Today, Jim Mora and former defensive lineman Frank Warren were the new inductees into the Saints Hall of Fame. They were announced today. The actual installation will be in November. And because of all this Ricky Williams trade talk, I asked Jim Mora to reflect on draft day 1999 when at Indianapolis they had to pick high to the Saints, and you know what happened.
Well, we had a high regard for both Ricky and Edgerrin, and we were going to take a running back because we just traded Marshall Faulk the day before, I think it was, or that day, I'm not even sure. But so we knew we needed a running back, and so we were going to take probably either or that or make some kind of a trade, and there wasn't a trade with the Saints involved, but probably going to take either Ricky or Edgerrin, and we put almost as much work into that decision as we did the year before when we had to pick either Peyton or Ryan Leaf. Not quite as much, but we had a high regard for both players. We liked them both. We both felt like they were going to have great careers, but it just came down to, we felt like for our system, Edgerrin suited it a little bit better than Ricky did, but I liked Ricky a lot.
At this moment in time, with the hindsight, you all think you made the right decision?
Yeah, I think we made the right decision. We definitely made the right decision with Peyton. And as far as Edgerrin and Ricky, only time tells over that deal. I mean, Ricky has some injury problems his first couple of years in the league. Edgerrin got hurt last year and missed most of the season. But I think if both stay healthy, they both have, excellent careers ahead of them.
All right, Jim Mora inducted into the Saints Hall of Fame today, along with Frank Warren. We'll go to our listener line and take some opinions about Peyton Manning.
Peyton is an exceptional player, an exceptional person, leader, fabulous work ethic. It's been a pleasure to coach him the last 4 years. We had a great relationship. We had a little incident this past season that flared up. It was over with in a couple of days. I have had a good relationship with him as any player I've ever been around. But he's one of the top 2 or 3 coaches players that I've ever had the pleasure of coaching.
Another interesting thing, I asked Jim Mora, is he finished coaching?
I don't think so, buddy. I think I've done enough. You know, I'm older now, 66 years old. God, I hate to say that. It sounds bad. But,
Unless you're 70.
Huh? Oh, man. Hey, we both look pretty good, though, you know. But, I think I'm pretty well done with coaching. I'm not quite ready to retire from work. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I don't think I'm going to coach anymore.
Broadcasting, maybe?
Oh, I did it 1 year, and I've looked into it, but right now there's no opportunities out there that are presenting themselves. But I enjoyed it that 1 year that I did it with NBC, and I would like to do it again if something comes up.
All right, Jim Mora, who, along with Frank Warren, were the new inductees into the Saints Hall of Fame yesterday. Here's an interesting note. One of the interesting pieces of information that came out of the National Football League Players Association agent seminar is this. A big defensive lineman who played 13 years with the Saints, and that was tied for the longest tenure of any Saints player, 13 years. And I talked to Frank Warren about the importance of veteran leadership in the locker room.
Et cetera, et cetera. Well, first of all, thank you. And yes, it's very important to have some type of leadership. You usually look to your veterans, the guys that's been there and know what it takes, you know, to be successful for leadership. But sometimes it comes from younger guys. It's a matter of being mature and learning how to handle situations. Sometimes, you know, things in the locker room, they get a little out of hand, and players can take things personal. And you have to remember that you're in it as a team. It's not an individual sport. And certain sacrifices you have to make for yourself and also for your teammates. And, you know, and that's when being a veteran comes into play. Having been there and know what works and what doesn't work, you know.
When you were there, you were one of the leaders on the team. Who were some of the other locker room leaders? And do you remember any examples of how it had a positive effect?
Well, we had a team that grew together. The team that I played on, a lot of us got drafted together in 1981. So we had, you know, a team full of leaders. And we kind of grew into that role together. And, you know, we knew that, you know, there's no way that we could win this as individuals, that it took a team effort. And that, you know, we inspired each other during the all season to go out and work out and be in the best shape possible. And when we were off the field, you know, not to stay out too late in bars or whatever, you know, to get home responsible. You know, you go out and enjoy yourself, or you come home, you know, and get your rest and things like that. You know, you have the exception to the rule where, you know, a couple players not going to listen to you. But as the most part, you know, if I'm paying the price and doing the best I can do for the team, you're going to pay the price too, because I'm not going to lose because of you being immature and not wanting to pay the price.
Frank Warren, the new inductee into the Saints Hall of Fame, along with Jim Mora. We didn't get to those yesterday, so we got it to them today. Lots more to come on Sports Talk, 260-1870. Your dials on WWL 870 AM.